It just kept going, and I completely lost my mind.
Alright, so welcome to the Morgan's Dialogue, and this is part 3. And in the previous part, we spoke about how we met, and even when Shar finally came to Jamaica, and then when I popped the question to her mom to ask her hand in marriage, of course. And we're at an interesting part of the game now, where at the end of the day, I have a question for you. Shar, what really happened on the week when we finally got married?
Well, that was the week that we really saw the enemy come to prevent this marriage from happening.
The enemy? What are you talking about?
The enemy. Because only the level of resistance we got. The wedding was Saturday, March 30th.
Yes.
And our plan was for me to fly in and get to Kingston on Thursday night.
Yes.
And then Friday, we would have wedding rehearsals. The wedding rehearsal for the ceremony, and then Saturday was the wedding, obviously.
Of course.
So everything went according to plan. I left home, LAX, and had my flight to Miami, which was going to connect me to Kingston.
Yes.
And had a 3-hour layover, not that bad. I had things to do to busy myself. And
yes.
Right when I got to the gate, I got a text from the airline, and they said that our flight was delayed by 5 minutes. Just a little tiny delay, and that wasn't a big deal. Like, okay, sure.
Okay.
And so we waited 5 minutes, and then in 10 minutes, we got another text.
Another text?
Another text.
Okay.
Saying it was delayed by, I think, 30 minutes. So now the delay was getting longer. Then we got a third text, and the third text said that our gate changed. The crazy part was the gate changed from where I was to on the other side of the Miami airport. Have you ever been in the Miami International Airport? It's pretty big.
So maybe that means that the airplane may have changed it?
Yeah, maybe the airplane had a new gate. And that's
a new gate?
Yeah, so the gate that it was first coming to, they changed it to another one. Okay. So we went to the other side of the airport to our new gate, and we got there, and by the time we did, things seemed like they were settled in, but then within a matter of minutes, we got another text.
Another text?
Yes.
So hold on, was that during the time, I was on my way to the airport. I think I was on my way, it would have taken me some while to get there. So all along, we had text. I remember we had text before I left out, because I think my plan had finished then. My phone plan had finished. Yeah. But with the fact that I'm going to a location where we will have internet and Wi-Fi, I didn't have any problem. But I texted the last. I heard about the delay, but then I'm saying, well, by the time I reach there, I can communicate with you. Right?
Yeah, and so our plan too, when I got to Kingston, we had actually a chartered taxi that would meet us there and take us to the hotel for the night. Again, I was scheduled to get to Kingston by 7:30. But by then, because they kept rescheduling the flight, it kept pushing it. And so Neil and I were in communication most of the time, and then until we got another text from the airline saying that the flight was delayed by another hour or so. So by this point, I wouldn't get to Kingston till almost 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. And so at this point, I remember that I texted you and I said, hey, we had another delay. Because each time we had a delay, I would text Neil and say, it's been another delay, it's been another delay. And for the last time I texted him, I said, I'm praying that there's no more delays. I'm hoping God just works it out and there will be no more delays. And what did you say to me?
Yeah, I think at that point, when I heard it, by then I heard like it was a third coming into the fourth delay. I was like, maybe we may not have another delay, but then again, as long as it does go within that 24-hour
which let's kind of explain that 24-hour rule. So here in Jamaica, for the ceremony to be considered valid, the foreigner spouse needs to be on the island 24 hours before the ceremony.
Exactly.
So that's why me flying in on Thursday night would have given us plenty of time. Yeah. Right. So we wouldn't be cutting it too close, but so carry on there.
So How I looked at it was as if, all right, in other words, that is how I knew that there is something that's happening here. Maybe the enemy was at work, maybe the enemy was trying to delay this, maybe was trying to get within that 24 hours that we needed to ensure that she arrives here before that time frame. So whenever Shar said to me, oh, I'm praying that there's no more delay, in my mind I'm like, to tell the truth, delays are okay as long as the delay does not go within that 24-hour time frame. So even when we hung up the call, I remember in my mind I was like praying that, you know what, whatever your will is, Lord, as long as it doesn't go within the 24-hour, regardless of the many delays, let it be done. And I think that was what I was more concerned about, that at the end of the day, even if there's more delay, because there could be, as long as it doesn't go within that 24-hour time slot.
Yeah, and I think by that time our communication got intercepted.
Yes, because the crazy thing is that my phone, no planner's been up. I'm now traveling without any communication by the. You know what? As a matter of fact, here's what happened. I reached in Kingston and I was close enough towards the place we're going to stay. But at the same time, I could travel on a different route to go to the airport. But I'm mindful that you told me about a few delays. So technically, I had time to go, probably sneak over to the place, probably check on the internet, probably get, communicate with you, hear more about the information. So I was waiting on a bus right there at the bus stop. You know what? I saw the first bus come. And I said, is this going towards, the location of the apartment? The man said, no, it has been a while that no bus was coming towards that direction. But this bus is going to the airport. And I'm like, the airport? But it's a bit early. It's almost like 2 hours or such, more than an hour though, before you arrive. I had time to go to the apartment. But the fact that he said, there hasn't been any bus going that direction, I just said, you know what, maybe I should just go into this bus to the airport. I think it was a good thing, because when I reached, I was able to pick up the Wi-Fi. Airport has, Wi-Fi access, and that was when I learned more. Can you tell us what I learned more about?
Oh my goodness. So by this point, and after he got the text, I was like, okay, I mean, that's right, let's just keep our eyes focused on the Lord. Well, the aircraft did finally arrive, and it was like a relief, because when I saw the aircraft, it was pulling into our gate. They started offloading the passengers who just came in, and they started unloading our luggage. And the reason I know that is because I put stickers on my luggage so I could spot them out very easily. My luggage was on the little trolley into that aircraft, so I knew this is it. We're finally going to get on this flight. So once they get all the luggage on there, you see the aircraft lights just die down, like power off. And over the intercom, the agent at the gate says, I'm sorry, but the flight to Kingston has been canceled and will not fly out till tomorrow.
Okay.
Canceled for tonight and won't be flying out until tomorrow morning. Now the problem is, when you're getting all those text messages all throughout the day and no one's telling you why there's so many delays, your mind is thinking like, well, what's the problem? And so when they said that, that gate area blew up in total rage. I mean, mostly Jamaicans, because this was a local flight. Most tourists don't fly into Kingston. They usually fly
that's what you find out. Yes.
And so, I mean, the whole place imploded in anger, and people are cussing the agent out. And it got so bad that they actually had to call the police. And they got the police involved. And my reaction was, I just broke down and started crying. I called my mom immediately. Actually, I called my sister. And I'm crying on the phone. Then she starts crying. And then my mom takes the phone, like, what's going on? I'm just like, I don't understand. They're not being transparent. They're not telling us what's wrong. I can't even reach Neil, because by that point, we got out of connection. And so...
I think by then, you had already told me that it's going to be delayed And
for tomorrow, right?
For the next day.
For the next day, yes.
Yeah, so I think by then I think you had told me to just go to the apartment.
That's right. I did. I told him just go home, go to the apartment.
We'll keep in touch. Because by then I was hoping by the time I reached the apartment I would have gotten access to Wi-Fi, internet would have communicated again. So she said, no worry, go to the apartment, stay there, we'll keep in touch. So I said, all right. I didn't want to, but then I said, okay, let's go ahead and do that. It makes sense because she's not coming tonight anyhow.
Yeah.
I did that, and when I reached the apartment, there was no Wi-Fi. So I couldn't get in touch with her. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? But I think that's when I realized the animal was really at work here, because I started putting 2 and 2 together, and I was like, wait, you realize that he's trying his best not to allow us to communicate. Trust me, we have always communicated.
Exactly. It was so unusual for us not to be communicating.
And here's the thing, I always have a plan running. There's always have a plan running, or we have Wi-Fi. And the fact that I went to this location, the Wi-Fi access was not working. I think it was almost a week after I got back home. But that time it wasn't working. I didn't have any plan. And I was, as a matter of fact, something happened. It's as if the Spirit said, hey, you know what? All things work together for good. It's going to work out. Why? Because as long as, regardless of the delay, regardless of not communicating with each other, as long as it still works out within that 24-hour time frame, it's going to be okay. I found myself before watching a movie that night.
I wasn't. I was very stressed out.
Wow.
My mom and sister.
By then we weren't communicating.
We weren't communicating at any point. And that was also frustrating too, because that's like, it was so unusual for us. Then somehow we got connected through your brother. We started communicating through your brother.
I literally gave him your number, and I said, hey, can you here's the thing, I had some credit to call on my phone, and it was running low at the same time, and I called my brother who usually have credit, and I said, can you send me some credit, like I need lots of credit, and there was no credit there. I think he had like 1, so by the time I called him, the credit was almost out. I only had enough text remaining just to send a text to him, and hoping he got it to get in touch with Char. But that's amazing.
And so that's the thing. My mom and sister were just doing their best to support me and calm me down. They're like, just figure out what you have to do next. And so my sister stayed on the phone with me actually most of that time.
That's good.
And she wasn't saying anything. She was just on the phone with me. So I go up to a police officer, because everybody's still going off on the agent. So I go up to him and I'm like, what do I need to do from here? And he's like, just go to the rebooking center and they'll put you in a hotel for the night and make sure you have your new boarding pass for tomorrow. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, because I did want to ask you at the last, are you going to get you with that place to stay?
That's right.
And you said, no worry, man. Just go.
Just go. I was like, I'm going to figure it out.
Just go.
So I get to the rebooking center and I'm thinking there's, about a few people in line. This line had to wrap around almost the entire lobby of the airport. I mean, all the way down where concession is, the gift stores. This line was so long, it was like Disneyland on steroids. Wow. And so I obviously walk all the way, taking that mile to get to the back of the line. And I sit in line for about 3 hours. 3 hours standing. In line, yes. Wow. There was a lady that was nice enough to hold my spot for me to go get a snack, because
wow.
So as you can tell by this point, it's almost 11 midnight in Miami. I get as close to the rebooking reception, and all of a sudden every single of the agents walk away, and we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And they're like, oh, they're changing shifts, they're done for the night. You actually have to go back to the very entrance of the airport in order to get your new boarding pass.
Wow.
So after all that waiting in line, we all walked in a file line out to the front, because they didn't want people to lose their spot. I get in line, and sure enough, I got to an agent who reprinted my boarding pass, and then he told me that they ran out of hotels. What? Obviously, they ran out of hotels, which made sense because that line was so long. I'm like, there's no more hotels in Miami. And he said there was one that was about 10 minutes from the airport, but I asked him, I was like, well, can I stay in the airport? Because I don't want to leave. And he's like, yeah, you can do that too. And I was like, okay, great. And I'm glad
did that turn out to be a blessing for you not to have gone?
Absolutely.
How did that turn out to be a blessing?
We're going to find out. So yeah, I got my rebooking, my boarding pass for the new flight tomorrow at 8 o'clock. It was gonna fly out to Kingston.
By then I didn't have a clue.
By then you didn't have a clue.
Well, I didn't know about the timing.
Yeah.
Well, I may have known, but not sure. Because the way in which the times keep changing.
You didn't know.
I have no clue what the time would be.
Yeah, I think I did text your brother and let him know about the new flight time.
Yes.
So our wedding, by the way, was on Saturday at 2 p.m.
Yes.
So we still had time, even if I flew in on Friday, we still had time.
As long as it doesn't.
As long as it wasn't over
2 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, got my boarding pass. Then I tried to go back through TSA, and they would not accept my boarding pass. It kept like flagging their system, and he's like, "This flight's been canceled." I was like, "Yeah, I know, but it's flying out tomorrow." And he's like, "Well, we haven't heard from upstairs about this new flight change." And I'm like, okay, but the agent just told me, the agent that I just left just told me that this was the flight for the tomorrow. He's like, "I'm sorry, we don't have that flight on our logs." So I go back to try to find the same agent, couldn't find him. He disappeared into thin air.
Shift change, remember that?
A shift change. But no, he was part of the new.
Oh, he was part of the new one?
Yes.
Oh.
Disappeared.
Okay, maybe he went to take a break. You know, it just came. So. Anyway, go ahead, please.
And so I found this other lady. She looked like the supervisor. So that's why I went up to her and I told her the whole situation. And she's like, "Oh, well, they should have it on TSA. They should have it on their log." And I was like, "Yeah, but he's not letting me in." So she walks me over with me to the guy, and she asked for the supervisor of TSA. He comes and he says, "Yeah, we haven't heard from upstairs. You need to call upstairs." So she calls upstairs. She's like, "Okay, just wait about 20 minutes and your flight should register." So I think about 20 minutes passed, and I guess I should have given it more time, because literally right after 20 minutes, I went back and the flight still wasn't on their log. So I waited another 30 minutes. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning now. Wow. Finally, I get through TSA. I get to my gate right away. I still have food, and they threw away my apple juice. I forgot to drink it. Anyway, that's like a side thing. I just thought about it. Get to the gate for the new flight out to Kingston. There's hardly anybody there, and I'm assuming a lot of the other passengers took hotels as their option.
Yes.
So very uncomfortable. I tried to sleep comfortably on the chairs. They were very uncomfortable. Slept on the floor for about 20 minutes.
On the floor?
On the floor. I was just trying to get some sleep.
That kind of helped me understand. I couldn't sleep at night either.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. I remember waking up like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, even 4 o'clock in the morning. I think it was near 5. Between 4 and 5, I actually got some sleep.
Yeah.
Because by then, as I said, we weren't hearing from each other. I wasn't sure what was happening. If he had gone to the hotel, I wasn't sure.
So that's what happened. I slept for 20 minutes, and then after that, I didn't get it. I didn't sleep anymore. I stayed up the whole time.
Wow.
But my mom and sister were definitely there, just praying and making sure I was okay. And once I got off the phone with them, I weathered the next 4 or 5 hours until the flight. I was very hopeful at this point, because I'm like, well, at least I'm getting out in the morning. And so all was well. Then about 4 o'clock, 4:30-ish, we get a text from the airline saying that the flight was delayed by 5 minutes.
By 5 minutes?
5 minutes, because it was...
Oh, just 5 minutes.
8 o'clock was when we were going to leave out. Then it said 8:05.
Okay, 5 minutes. That's good.
I panicked.
5 minutes? Where's just 5 minutes?
But I was so traumatized from the day before.
Oh.
So getting a text saying any delay, it could have been 1 minute, and I would have freaked out.
Understand now.
So I start hyperventilating. I'm like, no, this can't be happening. No. And then just like that, about 4 text messages came one after the other other. It was like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And so 8:05, 8:10, 8:40. And then it just kept going, and I completely lost my mind. I found a little spot in the airport, because when they started sending the text, I got up, I started pacing, and I'm like, I need to find a spot, because I'm just going to scream. And so I found this little spot in the airport, and I immediately called my mom, and I just lose it. I'm crying, snot, everything is just, I'm completely, and I'm like, why is this happening? Doesn't God want me? I start, like, doubts started creeping in my mind. I start questioning everything. I'm like, why is this happening? And then it was more upsetting because I couldn't reach you.
Yeah, we couldn't
So
reach
it
each
was
other.
just like compounding anxiety on top of it. And my poor mom, she just sat there, she cried with me. We both we started praying. At this point, I started praying in the spirit because I couldn't even speak in English anymore. I don't even know what words I can use to describe how I'm feeling. But I just cried. I couldn't stop. My mom was there. She was praying for me. My sister also in the background. And we're just wailing. Like our hearts are just like, God, why is this happening? And because, again, they weren't telling us what was happening, why the delays, it just made it that much worse.
You know, I was thinking about that. And, you know, maybe persons are saying, which airline is that? I would like to know which airline. But I was talking and saying, it may not matter.
It didn't matter what airline it was.
I think when the enemy is at work, and well, maybe it's a bit bold to say this, we could be the reason why there was a delay for the entire flight.
No, I 100% agree with that.
We could be the one reason why the entire flight, people was inconvenienced because of our situation. The fact that the enemy didn't want us coming together for this to happen.
Well, that's what happened with Jonah. Remember when he was on the boat and the storms, everything was happening because he was in disobedience?
Yes.
Once the people threw him off the boat, everything calmed down.
So it didn't matter which boat
it just doesn't matter. Yeah.
So it don't matter the airplane that...
No, it could have been JetBlue, American, United, Delta.
Matter.
It didn't matter. Yeah.
So at the end of the day...
At the end of the day, it was
his last-ditch
effort. It was his last-ditch effort.
To say, hey, it's not going to happen. Give up.
Yes.
Return back home.
Yeah. I mean...
Wow.
That's what it was. There was nothing more than that, and I knew it was the enemy. I'm still like losing my mind and crying about it, but I finally calmed down. I got off the phone with my mom, and she sends me this audio, this meditative audio with scripture and prayers, and the title of it was "God Will Make a Way When There Is No Way."
Wow.
Yeah. So I started listening to it. As soon as I start bawling, I'm crying all over again. And then I got this sudden prompting to call the airline. So I did. I called the airline, found their number, and this woman picked up and she's like, hello, blah, 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 how can I help you? And I'm like, what's going on? My flight keeps getting delayed. This happened yesterday. We were supposed to leave out at 8 o'clock, and now they keep pushing it. I'm getting all these text messages, and no one's telling us what's happening. And I'm like, can you give me an explanation of what's going on?
Yes.
She said what she said. I mean, she worked for the airline, so. But anyway, she gave me an explanation, and after a while, I just stopped in silence, and she did too, and I just started crying. I told her, I said, I'm supposed to be getting married to my husband on Saturday. I have to be on the island for 24 hours for it to go through. It's Friday, and I have no idea if I'm gonna even make it there. So I'm crying, and the woman is so patient. You can just hear her sighing. She's like, oh my God. Like she's just saying that.
Just listening to
Just
you.
listening to me. And then after I got it all out, she was like, I'm so sorry. Like you can just feel the compassion in her voice.
Wow.
And then I told her, I said, you know what? It's not even your fault. Thank you so much
So you
for
didn't
listening.
curse her out?
No, I wasn't nasty or belligerent or cussing her out, nothing like that. I told her it's not her fault. She has nothing to do with it. She's just doing her job. So I told her thank you, and she's like, I'm so sorry, and we got off the phone. Well,
what happened after that?
in a matter of 5 minutes,
5 minutes?
she calls me back personally, and she's like, hey, I know that there's a lot going on, but I just found a flight to Montego Bay.
Not Kingston.
Not Kingston.
So I was in Kingston, waiting to go to the Kingston airport.
Yes.
But they had a flight going where?
To Montego Bay.
I had no idea about this. I knew
Nobody
nothing.
knows. He has no clue what's happening. This is all happening while you're probably asleep or something.
Finally getting some sleep. No, I think I got up early. Oh, it was 4 o'clock you said. Yeah, I was probably just about to get some sleep again.
Yeah, but it had to have been close to 5 or 6 o'clock now.
Yeah, so I was
like
sleeping,
that
though.
crying period took me an hour. I must have been crying for like an hour. But
Wow.
she's like, yeah, it's heading out to Montego Bay at 10 o'clock. You'll get to the island by 10:30, 11. So that'll be in time for your 24-hour thing. And she's like, I could switch it for you if you want.
Wow.
I was like, yes, do it. Thank you. And as soon as she did, she told me to go back to the front to get a new boarding pass. But I called my mom and I told her what happened. And she's like, so, okay, but so how are you going to get to Kingston? Now, Montego Bay and Kingston are about
2 ends.
like 3 hours. 4 hours.
Yeah, it's a
long distance, and there was no way he could get to me in time and all that. So that wasn't going to happen. Again, he doesn't know, has a clue.
I have no idea.
And I told my mom, I was like, I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out when I get there, whether I have to hitchhike a ride or find somebody. At this point, it didn't, very much so. And it didn't matter to me. I just said, long as my 2 feet touch that island in 24 hours, I'm good, or before the 24 hours. And so my mom's like, go for it. God's with you.
Wow.
And that was the thing. And oh my God, I just remembered this, babe. In my heart, after I got off the phone with my mom and I started walking, I felt this sudden resurge of energy. And I felt like I remember hearing the voice of the Lord say to me, that's my girl.
Wow.
Yes, because I mean, we're taking big leaps of faith in our lives. We're taking adventurous leaps. And so I think when I was succumbing under that pressure and the doubt and anxiety, I was losing a lot of my faith at the same time. But then this resurgence happened, and then I just remember the Lord saying to me, that's my girl.
Was smiling down at you.
Yes. And because I was determined, I didn't have no fear. It was like, I know I'm going to a foreign country, have no idea where to go, how to get there. But
it's the second time in this island as well. And the first time, you have no idea where Montego is.
Yeah, no clue.
Wow.
So
I had no idea you were here.
Yeah, no.
So there's it's not like I could make arrangement or try anything. I had no clue what was happening.
So when I got to the Montego Bay gate, settled in. Oh no, first of all, I went got my boarding pass, and then I asked the lady about my luggage, because my luggage is still on the Kingston aircraft. Yes. So I said, well, what about my luggage? And she's like, oh, your luggage goes wherever you go. So if you change flights, they're just going to change it automatically. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Got through TSA, piece of cake, got to the gate. And I'm sitting there at the gate, and yes, a little glimmer of hope kind of stirred in me, but then I had this like gnawing feeling about my luggage. So I was like, let me just go up to the guy and ask him, this older gentleman. And I'm like, hi, I just had my flight change. Can you double check for me that my luggage will get here? Yes. And he's like, your flight changed from what? From Kingston. So my luggage is still on the Kingston aircraft. And he's like, Kingston? He's like, they can't do that. And I was like, yeah, but they did. So can you check to see if my luggage is there? He was like, well, that's an issue, a security issue with international flights. So if you were switched your luggage needed to go back through their check-in inspection and all that. Yeah. And so my heart is racing now. I'm like, oh my God, what if he I was like, at this point, I don't even care about the luggage. Just make sure I get on this Montego Bay aircraft. And so he's sitting there looking through the log and stuff, and he's like, yeah, your luggage actually has been flagged for the security reasons he mentioned. And so my tears start flowing, and I'm like, sir, I'm supposed to be getting married tomorrow to my husband. I need to get to the island in 24 hours. If my luggage has to stay, fine. I just need to make sure I get on the aircraft.
Wow.
And he kind of looked at me for a while, and he's like, you know, I normally don't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and unflag your luggage.
That's called favor.
Yes. And I can't promise you that they're going to make it, but I unflagged them so they shouldn't go through any more issues. And I was like, thank you. I'm telling you, when I got on that aircraft and the plane engine started rolling up like music to my ears.
So you know what's coming to me now?
What?
2 times the other chance, so let's say, respond in certain way, negative way, or showing your disappointment.
Yes.
But I think the fact that you humbled yourself and you've expressed your need for someone to help you.
Yeah.
I think it touched their heart, both person, the woman and now this man. And I think that's favor, if you ask me. So in the midst of what happened, God still exhibit favor upon you.
Exactly. That was nobody but God's favor. Everything just worked out for me. And so got on the aircraft, we took off. I was glad to be in that air. The turbulence didn't even bother me. Usually turbulence bothers me. I was like, I don't care. You can shake as much as you want, and I'm gonna get to Jamaica. So we finally land, and it's like 10:45, 11-ish. I did text your brother, and I let him know that I said, tell Neil to still meet me at the Kingston airport at 1 o'clock, because that was the time, I think, that was
1
originally.
o'clock.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. And so I didn't know if your brother got the message or not, but I just sent it off to him, and then So yeah, when we got to the Montego Bay Airport, I got through customs and immigration, and then I went to go to baggage claim to see if my luggage made it, and they did not. And wow. And then they were directing us to go to baggage claim to claim a lost luggage. So so I did. I got up there, did it just in time because there was a lot of lost luggage. And I put the name of the hotel for if they needed to, if they found the luggage and needed to return it, because I couldn't think of anyone's address here. Yes. I couldn't put back home in LA, so I just put at the hotel for our honeymoon spot.
Yes.
Then I found this chartered taxi that actually takes you from airport to airport. So I found one from Montego Bay to Kingston, and I paid for it, and then they took care of me. It was actually a really pleasant experience, and I drove about 3 to 4 hours to Kingston Airport. Arrived. I didn't see Neil yet, but I was there.
Well, actually, you know, I was there at 1 waiting. It was almost 1:30 thereabout. I didn't see anyone at the departure coming out. As a matter of fact, before 1, I heard an announcement in the airport that the flight, the same flight, I was like, does not sound like the same flight. They say it was delayed again, and I'm like, but Shar told me 1 o'clock. Why am I hearing that the flight got delayed? I'm like, okay, let's just ignore that. Let's hope that's a different flight. I'm hoping, but it was. It may have been that same flight, but it's just that I never knew that you were on a different flight.
Yes, yes.
And you were already in Jamaica for that matter. So although I was looking at the departure and wondering, why am I not seeing anyone coming out? So I went back around the arrival site, because that's where I picked up the Wi-Fi to communicate with you. By then the driver had reached and we were talking. By the time I came back, I saw someone sitting down. And I was like, okay, I don't see anyone leaving from the departure. I didn't see anyone outside trying to grab a taxi. But I saw someone that looked like you sitting down. And I found it very strange. I was seeing you were sitting down, I was looking at you from behind, and I came up to you, looked at your face, and I wasn't sure by then, and I just said, hi. And just hearing you say hi, I knew it was you.
Yeah, and like my usual response would have been like jumping, excited. I was just exhausted, completely delirious.
That's when I was like, okay, something really happened here.
Yeah, I went through a lot, and I was very exhausted. And but you know what? By the time I saw him, and I was in his arms, everything just went right. I didn't even. I was so exhausted. We canceled rehearsal.
We couldn't reach back. We had to go back to the apartment. She had to get some rest.
I had to sleep.
She had to get some rest.
Yeah, and so we were just like, you know what? It's in God's hands anyway. So we didn't trip about not having rehearsals. And Saturday came.
As a matter of fact, we didn't trip about the luggage being missing.
Oh, that either, yeah.
You had most of your stuff.
That's right, because I have 3 pieces of luggage. So I have my carry-on, and then my 2 big ones that have like my stuff, my things I need to live off of. But my carry-on have my wedding dress, my headpiece, my veil, my shoes, my makeup.
That's when I knew that
my jewelry.
It didn't matter if those
I didn't care if I ever seen them luggage again, because I had everything important, and that was purposely done because things like that happen at airports, and I didn't trust losing my luggage with my wedding stuff in there, so I had all of that with me.
That's a blessing.
It was a blessing, and God gave us wisdom because He saw these things were going to happen in advance, and so there were just small promptings. I just felt like, let me make sure I have all my stuff with me, and
just kind of jumping a bit. I think what was a blessing was when the wedding went on, and even the proceeding and how we went through how everything went. A lot of persons may look at us and say, wow, these guys really practice, and
they had it all together.
They spoke to their past and had it all. But trust me, I remember there was a time I was like, sure, guess what, just do whatever the pastor says.
He said that to me at the altar. So once I got to him, walked down the aisle.
We had no rehearsal.
No rehearsal. He just kind of whispers to me, just do whatever the pastor says. I'm like, okay. Pastor did a lovely job.
Yes, you did.
But so I didn't have my stuff. I didn't have change of underclothes. Like that's just all my stuff was gone.
Yes.
So the next morning, Neil, I and your brother,
stuff.
we went to a shopping plaza and got a few things for me.
Yes.
And then we got to Mom's, and then you left to go get ready. I got ready.
Yes.
And
we reached like right at that.
Yeah.
We both arrived like
yes,
just minutes after 2 o'clock.
yeah.
Literally, it was a blessing.
The ceremony was beautiful.
Pastor.
And what I love about what Pastor did was he made it like exciting, entertaining,
Yes.
funny. Like it was just exactly how I'd want to remember my wedding.
Wow.
Like people were laughing. He had us laughing so much, and the decorator did a beautiful. His wife, she did a wonderful job decorating the entire church, and their son, the photographer.
Wonderful,
amazing job.
If you need to have a wedding done, that's a family. That's what you call a family business. Family business, and you can get the family package.
Exactly.
One stop
and
shop.
then, like me being a professional photographer, that's a lot to hand over your wedding to someone else to capture it visually. And he did. I don't even know if I would have done that good of a job. But our whole wedding was beautiful. Everything worked out. I mean, we had an opportunity to share a little bit of our story with our guests that were there. Yes. I mean, it was fantastic. It was just everything I think I ever wanted and more in a wedding. And I think we capped it off at the honeymoon spot. Wow. Do you want to tell everybody what happened at the honeymoon spot?
Oh, that's amazing. We arrived and, looking forward to the honeymoon. So we went to the teller and the person there, the agent, and, we're about to book into the hotel. Mm-hmm. And then the lady just said to us, as a matter of, you're Neil, and there's a package here for you. 2 bags. No, 2 bags here for you. I'm like, 2 bags? No, mind you, it was like a week prior. I called them because I had made the reservation like a month in advance thereabout. Mm-hmm. And I called them like a week. I was like calling them to say, hey, that we're getting married. I'm hoping that probably they would probably have something fixed
like
up for us. Special package, and that didn't happen. Yeah. So when we arrive and they finally say we have 2 bags, in my mind, in our mind,
we're thinking, it's like a wedding.
Finally, they're trying to work. They work something else for us now.
Yeah,
that wasn't the case either. And then we was like 2 bags.
Yeah, and then she said from the Montego Bay Airport.
We're like the airport.
I was like, what? Oh my God, I almost fainted. I was like, what? Like, what?
Airport.
Yes.
By then, I think I saw a man coming behind you because you're facing me.
Yeah.
And I saw something over there, like your luggage.
It was my 2 luggage.
And she was like, they're over there. And I'm like, babes, turn around, look at that. Our luggage arrived at the hotel.
Wow.
That's when we knew that that confirmed that it was just the enemy's plan to just throw us off.
Throw everything off.
Probably wanting us to give up on, what he had planned for us. Mm-hmm. But God just started showing favor. Mm-hmm. I think at the end, if you ask me, I think the fact that we reacted well to the situation. Yeah. I think God was just pleased.
Yes.
And I think he literally sent the 2 luggage as a mean to say, hey, you guys did well done.
Yeah.
Good job.
That was the icing on the cake.
That was like,
and when I called my mom and sister, I took a picture and sent it. They couldn't believe it. Like, they're like, what?
Normally, does that usually happen to get your luggage that easily?
No. I'm like, for me, I was just like, they're gone. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see them again. I really did. And I was like, that's okay. We'll just start over while I'm here. And I think that's the key too, because sometimes like God tests us, and I felt like it was a test for me. Was I going to be like, oh, I can't believe that my luggage is gone and complaining about it. Now I have to do this and I have to buy it. Like, I didn't complain. We didn't complain.
We just got some, remember we had gotten some stuff.
I mean, things that I needed for my like personal convenience. I was just like, well, it's fine if I don't get it. I'll just deal with whatever I have now. And that contentment and joy and finding that in that situation, I think is usually what drives God to move in your life.
Wow.
And when we saw that was it. I was like, wow, God is incredible that all this happened. And so what I ended up finding out was my luggage came on the 2nd flight to Montego Bay.
The 2nd flight? The
2nd flight they had
Not
coming
the one
out. Not the one I was on, but the flight before me. I mean, after me.
After, yes.
So, so they made it here, and then it was like Christmas, like for me. I was like, oh my God, my luggage is here. But it's such a wonderful story, and we wanted to start it off, sharing our story with you all, because as we're moving along talking about these different topics that come to mind and that we feel are important to be had, we wanted to make sure you guys knew a little bit of who we are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So once again, welcome to the Morgan's Dialogue. And as we go into the other episodes, we're going to share with you, as we said, just some conversations we have between ourselves, and we want you to be a part of it.
Yes.
So look forward to our next episode. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.